Okay, there we go. Oh, I should probably get rid of first playthrough. That tag is not accurate playing this game for me. Okay. Move that to there. Hopefully we continue our trend of not having issues, because I do believe I solved the issue. I don't even remember where we left off on this fucking game. It's been that long. Somewhere at Cloud Ruler Temple. Yeah, we. Boom, 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 boom. I'm getting frames, man. I don't trust it. I don't trust this one bit. Not at fucking all. There's no way this works. I swear to God. I swear to God, dude. I think it's broken. This shit is ridiculous. A game from fucking 20 years ago. This remaster should not be having these issues. How did this game run better on The game was working fine for me on release. And then they do updates. And it fucked it. This isn't working. This isn't gonna work. There's no way this fucking works, dude. This is. How long is the loading screen gonna fucking be? Am I ever gonna get to play the fucking game, dude? Holy shit. Like, this is. What is happening? Alright, let's do a good old task manager. Oh, I think I know what they fucking did. Something they did, I think they've changed. It's relying more on the CPU than it ever did before. We're gonna load it up one more time. This is batshit crazy. This should not be happening. It's not gonna work. Look how this is the main fucking menu, dude. It's not gonna work. This is seeming like an improvement. I wish if I could go back to 1.0, I would. See how long this fucking takes. It's not gonna load. Yep, it's not fucking working. So. Dude, I just want to play this game. Yeah, okay. The updates, it seems, have they have forced the game to run heavier on the CPU than GPU. Like my CPU isn't old. My CPU is 5 years old. I'm not sure how old it was when I bought it. It was within the Within a year, I think, of release, when I got my current CPU, like, I think this game worked on release, dude. And now, not at all? Ah, that is so lame. Alright, so we gotta go to our fucking wheel spin and see what actual game I get to play. So annoying. I don't wanna. I don't wanna play a long game. I don't want to play the original. I'm breaking my own rules. I don't care. I don't want to play those games right now. That's the original Fallout. There we go. Hungry Lamb. Okay, so that is... How long is this game? I think this is a pretty short game. Yeah, it's a visual novel. Is it... Am I gonna be giving the voices? No. Yeah. Oh. It's with Chinese and Japanese actors. No English. Okay, so... Alright, we'll give this one a try. The Hungry Lamb. Oh yeah. And we'll add our first playthrough tag. Update. Hungry Lamb. Woo. Flowchart. Extra. Okay. Settings. Okay. Woohoo! Woohoo! I like the music. Liang prologue. Wolf. The year. I didn't read that fast enough. Fuck. 1428. I think it said. I often ponder what. I often ponder why my father named me Liang. The word Liang indicates Shan, virtue. The character Shan is in the shape of an open-mouthed sheep. Looking at it, you can imagine the sheep's cry. Is that? You know, I can see that. I can see that. Perhaps if one is as gentle as a lamb, Liang suits him. However, I refuse to see myself as a sheep. I am a wolf. Awu.
娘，送他回家了。
Okay, should I read? I don't. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, they only have it in Chinese and Japanese. Okay. Should I read? I mean, the words are there. Do it. From nearby, there came a rough voice, inquiring. I glanced sideways, and a man approached from the distance. Step by step, he made his way, twigs and fallen leaves crunching. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the woods, dappling everything, yet he had deftly hid himself in the shadows. I sized him up. Capped in a bamboo hat, clad in a raincoat, holding a gourd, he seemed more a fisherman than a menace at first glance. Such an appearance made it easy to let one's guard down, since he was usually tasked with luring the sheep, and then I would do the butcher's job. This fellow was another wolf accompanying me. His name was Shi Jing, but I preferred calling him Tung.
喂，问你呢，干嘛不说话？处理干净了吗？
Oh, and okay. Wrapped up, gave the sheep a stab when he wasn't looking.
现在丢哪儿了？
Buried.
埋仔细了没？这里离城可不远，别被野兽刨出来。
Make sure no beasts dig him up. Buried him tight. No worries.
行，那他身上都有些啥呀？
3,000 coins worth, 5 taels of silver plus 200 coins, ragged clothes, and a pouch. I take 4 taels, you get the ragged clothes, and the pouch is mine. I see we're not talking about actual sheep. We're talking about people.
凭啥？
This time there was just one sheep. I killed and buried him, so I deserve more.
行吧，行吧，就这样吧。荷包多少钱？
Not much, it's just a common item.
我看看。
Tung wanted to see the pouch. I reached into my waist bag and pulled it out for Tung to see. The pouch was small enough to fit in one hand. Common sense would dictate that a sheep's pouch might contain a handkerchief or some checks, but it was empty. The pouch was red, sewn together with patches, yet it looked new, and was embroidered with a light-colored word, Anne. Heh, I chuckled softly. How did the pouch end up with this embroidered word? Did the sheep's name contain Anne, or did he wish safety from the pouch? If it's the latter, the pouch surely failed him.
妈的，确实是破东西，卖不了几个钱，你自个儿收着吧。真不知道你为啥稀罕这些羊毛啊！每宰一只羊都得留点羊毛，小心哪天留了痕迹，把你给害死。
No big deal. I gave the pouch a squeeze and tossed it into my waist pouch.
好，趁着天没黑，咱快去华州搞点酒肉。
What I'm gonna do is, just because some of the text... I'm gonna be up here. Oh. This is weird, having me up here. Hold on. Ooh. Ah. Tung patted my shoulder, taking the lead.
梁，这次你分的东西多，可得你请啊。
Okay. I responded casually to Tung, pressing my hand on my bamboo hat to softly lower it. Following Tung's footsteps, I walked forward, each step accompanied by the crunch of leaves underfoot. It was fine not to pay attention to these sounds, but if you do, they could become quite loud. It was as if the bird chirps and monkey cries had disappeared and the whole forest was flooded with the crunch of trodden leaves. We, the two wolves, trod across the desolate mountains and wild ridges. Upon passing a tree with a sturdy twisted trunk, I couldn't help but look closer. I knew it. Beneath that tree lay the sheep I butchered. Liang, Chapter 1, Cat, the year of 1632. Okay, no, we were not in... I read the year wrong in the beginning. The sun hung high, almost blinding. But its rays lacked the slightest trace of warmth. I couldn't shake the memory of the sun from my childhood. So warm and inviting, now it felt different. Perhaps it was a sign of the fading dynasty, an era gripped by misfortune, where even the daylight had grown cold. Oh, that was a gulp. Perched on a boulder by an inn in Huazhu, I emptied the last drop from my flask. The fiery liquor seared my throat, yet its warmth refreshed my stomach. In bygone days, I deemed myself an unfortunate soul. However, in this year of calamity, savoring the fiery liquor proved to be a rare stroke of luck.
娘，有活了，还是个大活。
A familiar voice rang in my ears. I glanced over, and there was Tung standing behind me. Same old attire, bamboo hat, straw raincoat. He seemed like a fisherman. Tung's eyes gleamed, smiling at me, ready to spill some good news. What's the job? I gave him a quick look, inquiring casually.
城北有间客栈，关了尹三儿留的几只小羊。本来呀，这几只小羊是尹三的人去送的，但他们犯了别的事儿，被官兵给抓了。他现在无人可用，让我们替原本的人办事儿。
I won't handle lambs.
哎，你会错意了，我当然知道你不杀小羊啊。
And what's the deal?
我们要送几只小羊去洛阳。
Human trafficking? My heart sank. I finally got what Tung had been hinting at with his mysterious talk. Whenever he sought me out before, it usually meant dark deeds like robbing and killing. This time, all secretive-like, turned out he wanted us to do trafficking, delivering some acquired lambs to Lao Yang for a good price.
诱口？你不能这么说啊！小羊又不是我们逮的，算不得诱口。
I think that's still human trafficking, Tung.
不过你愿意这么想，倒是也好懂一些。你也知道的，尹三儿那人虽然一直是帮我们介绍劫道的活，但是他的主业其实是人牙子。这单确实是要把他搞到的小羊给送到洛阳，不过不是啥恶事儿，是善事儿。
It's a good deed. How is human trafficking a good deed? I frowned and almost didn't want to hear Tung talk anymore.
当然是善事儿啊！你听我说，先听我说。娘，这几年各地大旱，很多羊都被饿死，所以呀，有快饿死的人家把他家的小羊卖给尹三换钱粮。洛阳那边呢，有一只大肥羊啊，他有的是钱，就是生不出小羊，便想从穷地方收几只来养。你想啊，那些穷人家的小羊们本来就要饿死，我们把它送到富的地方去，这样他们的父母不至于饿死，小羊也能吃得饱饱的，所有人都高兴了，咱这是在做善事啊！嘿嘿，不瞒你说，一只小羊100两，4只小羊400两，你我对半分，今后几年都不愁吃穿了。妈的，扭扭捏捏的干啥呀？给个痛快呀！你要是不做这么好的活，我就找别人做。这不是看你身手好，一个能顶俩。
Hold on. I called out to Tung. When do the lambs need delivering?
越早越好，我今天就要去看看。
Fine, I'll join you. I rose, brushing off dust. Tung laughed, leading the way. Tung said a few words, managing to convince me. Maybe it was the promise of no worries about food and clothing, or perhaps the idea of doing good deeds that swayed me. Are we sure about that, Liang? Anyway, I'm going along with Tung's plan to see what's up. Oh!
嘿呦，我的二位爷，我总算把你们给盼来了！哎，快坐，快坐！
I don't trust him.
妈的狗子，没个眼力劲儿！快给二位爷上热酒！
Do I get to make choices at all in this game, or is it just a visual novel? I can't remember. I read the game before buying it. I thought there were choices, but now I can't remember. Maybe I read something wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of a different game. Just arrived at the inn with Tung, and Yin-san greeted us with flattery. Guiding us to our seats at the inn, he scolded his workers to bring us drinks. The sudden shift in behavior made me wonder if he was just acting. I stayed standing, eyes fixed on Yin-san, my mind wandering into some interesting scenarios. Possibly from my childhood love for shadow plays. Whenever I meet someone, their animal form pops into my head. Most are sheep, Tongue and I are wolves. Yin-san, though, comes across as a fox. ... This fox's lair was the inn in North Huazhu. No guests came, and it's closed all year. The inn was a cover. He used it for his business dealings. There's a higher up he answered to. Big boss handed down missions, and he passed them on to us. Back then, the jobs we pulled for him were all about hitting caravans. He'd tip us off on a sweet haul, and we'd go in. This time, it's a bit different. A job involving human trafficking. Whatever the job, we meet up at this inn most of the time.
尹三儿，我们来了。梁说他可以接。
Who said I'm in? I haven't committed.
啊，没定？哎呦，梁爷，你可不能没定啊！哎，你身手好，又和星爷熟，这活可不能缺了你。哎，我知道您之前没做过右口的事儿，也不愿意做。只是真的不用担心，你们这次的活只是运送小羊，小羊是怎么来的，要送给谁，都和你们没关系。哎，而且我也不怕给你们交个底儿，这次啊，收小羊的人全是头天，哪怕出了什么事儿，官府也查不下去。哎呀，哎，再说了，现在兵荒马乱，官府哪能管得上啊？嘿，哎，星爷，您说是吧？
是啊，去他娘的官府！闪地好多地方造反，他们要么在贪钱，要么在藏钱，哪能顾得上我们？
Yin-san explained to me, relying on Tongue backing him up at the same time. Tongue chugged half a cup of hot wine, backing Yin-san and shooting me winks. ... No worries about food and clothes, doing good deeds, and times are chaotic. They kept echoing in my mind, challenging my principles. Now, do I dive into this job or think twice? Ooh, yay, choices! Scoping out the lambs. I'll take a look at the lambs first, and decide after, I said slowly to Yin-san and Tongue.
哎，行，梁爷愿意看小羊，那就有戏。猴子，去，把小羊带上来。
Yin-san shouted, his voice echoing. The inn's waiter nodded, hurrying towards the back door. ... The lambs were brought up, tied with hemp ropes around their waists, linked together to stop any escape. Some softly cried, others trembled, nudged into a line by the inn's waiter, standing in front of me. I kept quiet, scanning the lambs. So young. Those are children! Leftmost lamb and the second one. They must know each other. Staying close, the elder guarding the younger. Probably sisters, both pretty young. I figured the older sister was 9 and the younger one was 6. Both sported worn-out clothes, dark complexions, and rugged, disheveled faces. Their slender frames hinted at a poor background. Glancing at them, the older sister, scared yet putting on a brave front, defiantly locked eyes with me, while the younger one shied away, too frightened to speak. Maybe the older sister aimed to protect the younger one and viewed me as a threat. Third one. The third lamb stood out from the first two. Probably of school age, she wore old clothes, was small, but had much fairer skin than the first two lambs. She bowed her head in fear, hesitant to speak, yet her upright stance hinted at an unusual background. But the two on the left, the third snatched. I casually asked Yin-san, laying out my judgment.
哟，梁爷眼力真准，不瞒您说，确实如此啊。左边啊，这俩小羊是姐妹，她们是附近穷山沟的。哎呀，现在各处闹饥荒，他家养不起这么多娃子，便先把女娃卖了，给小儿子换粮吃。
Yin-san spoke slowly, and as he did, I shifted my attention to the two lambs, keeping an eye on their reactions. After hearing that, the younger sister stood there, seeming a bit lost. The older sister, with teary eyes, looked on the verge of crying. It seemed what Yin-san said was true.
啊，至于第三只嘛，出身不错，确实是我们拐来的。
Snatched? Is it safe?
哎，肯定安全，不安全我哪敢往外送啊？
No way snatched ones are safe, especially when this lamb seems from a decent family. I hushed my tone and spoke icily to Yin-san.
哎，情况特殊，梁爷别急， 别急呀、哎，
Yin-san chuckled awkwardly in response to my words.
来这边说话。
Yin-san pulled me aside a bit, trying to steer clear of that lamb.
梁爷啊，这只小羊情况特殊，我们查过的。虽然它是贵家出身，但运它没有风险。
It's not risk-free, you fucker. Why? When does trafficking a noble young lady become risk-free? Aren't you worried her family might report this to the government?
报官？哎呀，不怕。他家现在自顾不暇，怎么可能来找他呀？
What happened?
他家呀，曾与原都师交往甚密，好像还沾点亲戚。哎，原都师你知道吧？哎，就是那个得罪了万岁爷被切片的，被诛了3族啊。
He offended the emperor. He died. 3 generations of family are now dead. What?
都师死后，他家遭受株连，杀的杀，流放的流放，遭贬的遭贬，早就家不成家了。
I kept quiet. Yin-san's words held true. No one would bother about the lamb this family lost. But in times of peace and prosperity, the offspring of condemned officials were disregarded, let alone in times of turmoil. Fine. I'll give the last lamb a look. I nodded, leaving the matter of the 3rd lamb behind, and turned my attention to the last one. The 4th lamb's a young boy. He looks like the oldest, tall, only a head shorter than me, hunched, awkwardly tilting his head. He anxiously looked around, his gaze dodgy and elusive.
尹三儿，这羊看起来不太对啊，有呆病。
Hung frowned, studying the 4th lamb before him.
哎，是啊，他确实有点呆傻。
小时候患了热病，把脑袋烧傻了。
Damn, Chuff! Alright, Tongue, that's a bit harsh.
哎，不是，似乎他就是天生傻。这小羊从小就这样，家里一开始觉得他是弥勒佛转世，就一直养到大。
Okay, thought he was... okay.
后来闹了饥荒，家里穷了些，不想养这佛了，他妈就把这小羊卖给我们了。
阿爸，阿爸，阿爸，阿爸。
Upon hearing the word mom, the 4th lamb got agitated, staring intently and yelling mom loudly. Seeing this, the other lambs seemed to think of their own moms, too. Eyes teared up, quietly sobbing. Maybe for these lambs, feelings spread like laughter.
尹三儿，你确定肥羊会想要这种小羊？
Tongue asked with a mocking tone, a hint of anger emerging in his voice.
哎呦，谁知道呢？也许哪家也觉得他是弥勒佛转世，想要养呢。洛阳那家说尽量是女娃子，但或许也能看下男娃子，能收的男娃比女娃少多了，也就只能搞到这种的了。
不行，这种绝对不行。
哎，星爷为何不行啊？
先不说我要是肥羊，绝对不想要这种小羊，你给我们运也运不了啊！这弥勒佛带着太麻烦，我和你梁爷在路上被他惹急了，一冲动便可能把他宰了。
哎呦，星爷呀，你就不能收收脾气？这是肥羊要的羊，少一只就少一份钱，丢一只可能都要你们倒给钱的。
那我更不能要了，我最管不来这种有呆病的。我们管不了他，若是他一路喊喊叫叫，难免会引来官兵盗匪，到时候所有人都要完蛋。
Agreed. No, I don't agree. I sided with Tongue. No, I don't. This lamb was too hard to handle and might stir up troubles.
哎，行，我早知道你会不愿意。哎，正好，也罢。其实我也担心那肥羊会不喜欢男娃，哪怕这种肥点的也不行，大概率会退货。哎呀，哎，狗子，那你还是把那小羊也带上来吧。
That lamb? I furrowed my brow, puzzled by Yin-san's words. Before long, the waiter returned with another lamb. The lamb stepped out from the backyard, immediately catching my eye. It appeared to be around 10, in the early years of schooling. Donned in worn-out clothes, her skin neither dark nor particularly fair. Quite slender, my first takeaway from observing her. She had a small frame, clothes tightly wrapped around her, revealing protruding bones at her wrists, The thin fabric outlined her bones. Her hair was pitch black, while her eyes had an unusually deep blue hue. This lamb appeared delicate. If she were a bit plumper, perhaps she'd be a beauty in the making.
哟，这小羊看着还不错。你这儿的几只小羊，说实话，除了弥勒佛，都还长得不磕碜。
那是，我的货源肯定正。哎，梁爷觉得如何呢？
I don't mind how the lamb looks, but I'm curious why she isn't tied up like the others. I noticed the last lamb wasn't tied with a rope around her waist. Curiously, I asked Yin-san. I do wish that these descriptors of the dialogue were coming before the dialogue was said, just so I could get an understanding of how I'm supposed to read Liang's dialogue.
啊，他和其他小羊不一样，他不用绑带。
You trust her.
放心啊，他不是被卖过来或是拐来的，而是逃荒的时候自己过来的。这娃子呀，是上个月刚来的，像是被调教过，只要给一口饭吃，什么活都愿意做。哎呀，虽然我也觉得可惜，但你们若是不想带那弥勒佛，可以让他替着去吧。正好啊，他也愿意去洛阳。哎。 他是哑巴，但是很懂事，平常不哭闹。你们跟他说会去一个能吃饱饭的地方，他必定愿意跟着去。
我说尹三儿啊，你这儿的小羊怎么除了傻子就是哑巴？
哎呦，这小羊是哑巴又怎样？二位爷呀，说真的，要不是跟肥羊约好了货的数量，我真不打算把它给交出去。你们别不信，哪怕他不会说话。 养大后绝对能卖个好价钱，
他耳朵没问题吧？
哎，没问题的。
啊，那倒也方便。
Tongue nodded, agreeing with Yin-san's idea. Having this girl along would be easier than dealing with the boys' issues. I agreed with that. But I wanted more details. Yin-san, how old are these lambs and what are their names? I asked Yin-san.
左属的俩姐妹，9岁和6岁。 叫红儿和翠儿，第3只叫琼华，9岁。最后一只小羊，哎，它是哑巴，也不识字，所以很难知道名字。你们就叫它小哑巴就可以了。
I don't want to call her little mute. That's demeaning, rude.
哦，年龄还是知道的。我问他是否9岁的时候，他点过头，估摸着就是9岁。
No name. 9 years old. Mute. I looked again at the last lamb brought in as a backup. This time she looked up and met my gaze. Surprisingly, she didn't shy away like the other lambs. She stared at me quietly. Her deep blue eyes reflected my image. A faint moisture seemed to be layered over her eyes, or maybe it was just my imagination. Strangely, during that brief eye contact, a peculiar thought crossed my mind. She stood out as the only one among the children who didn't resemble a lamb. Cat. She appeared to be a cat. Okay. Meow. 1632, okay. I agreed to Yin-san's job. After that, Tung and I spent a night at Yin-san's inn. The next morning, I tidied up my attire, wiped down my sword, and sheathed it. Before we hit the road, Yin-san got us 2 pack horses for the journey. Can't ride them, but they're perfect for carrying stuff. To avoid checks on the main roads, we'll take lots of mountain paths. Those trails aren't good for wagons, but pack horses will work. The inn was in a remote spot, and very few people were around, especially in the early morning. Hung and I stood by the inn, estimating how much time our job would take and planning what things to bring along.
华州到洛阳路途600里，哪怕日行50里，也要走半个月。
Can't reckon it that way. With the lambs, we'll make at most a half dozen miles a day. Taking detours will extend the distance, if anything.
妈的，那就要备30日的干粮和水。现在各处闹饥荒，这么多粮又得花不少钱。
Pack light for now. Buy provisions on the road. Head east if your folks fleeing. Cheaper grub.
行， 要是我们到时候困在山里，实在饿极了，就吃个小洋充饥。
Tung grinned and cracked a joke. I just shrugged it off and didn't say anything. Time to roll. I'll fetch them. I tossed a quick word to Tung, grabbed my blade, and headed straight into the inn to call the lambs. I woke up the lambs and took them outside. 3 had ropes around their waists tied together. The mute one without a rope bounced around strangely.
梁，你说要不要把那个小哑巴也一起绑了？虽然尹三说他是自愿去的，不用担心会逃，可他这样能撒丫子跑，我不放心。
Yeah, makes sense. I nodded, went to the saddle, and found a rope in the bag. I connected the new rope to the third lamb's tied a knot, and then went over to the mute girl with the other end of the new rope. The mute girl surely caught wind of our talk. She peeked at me, then turned away. Though she didn't look at me directly, she stood tall, arms raised on both sides. I didn't say anything, just stood behind her, head down. I took the rope, looped it twice around her waist, and tied a knot at her back. As I wrapped the rope, I could feel how skinny she was. The rope around her waist was only half an arm's length. So thin. After that, I double-checked the ropes on the lambs and then tied the rope's end to the pack horse. These knots were really tight, so unless they had something sharp, it'd be tough for them to untie. Even if they tried to cut the ropes, it would take time. Tung and I would keep watch, making it tricky for the lambs to get a chance. When I tied the rope around the little mute's waist, she went along with it. Didn't put up a fight at all. She did seem as sensible as Yin-san said.
喂，小崽子们，都听好了啊！我们这就出发。这一路上，你们叫我星爷，叫他梁爷。我们要走1-2个月，为的是把你们送去能吃饱喝足的地方。我们出城后一直向东走，走的路大多都是山路。每日走的不多，日行20里便可。粮食我都备齐了，今后我们一天吃2顿，50一顿，傍晚1顿。这2顿多吃点儿，别的时候不许喊饿。走路时不许交头接耳，不许哭闹，违者罚粮1天。这一路不要想着逃跑啊！逃者鞭笞数百，打死后还要被我活剥生吃。
No, let's not do that. Tung, all red-faced and loud, introduced himself to the lambs and said his rules. While he talked, he pulled out a switch from his bag and waved it in the air, showing it to the lambs. The young lambs couldn't hide their feelings well at that. When they heard about a place with lots to eat and drink, their eyes got big, but when they heard about, I'll strip your skin and have a feast, they all got scared and huddled up. Especially that refined lamb named Qianghua. When Tung waved the switch, she got so scared her legs shook, almost falling down. Tung always liked seeing the lambs scared because of him. He glanced at the frightened Qianghua, a playful smile on his face. Don't doubt. Time to go. I told Tung not to overdo it and pay attention to the time.
行，出发吧。
Tung turned around and yelled at the lambs once more. His shout made the lambs shiver. He chuckled, licked his lips, and led the way forward. We followed Yin-san's chosen path to leave the city. Outside, we headed east along the planned route. To steer clear of the main road, we had to go through the foothills of the Tuhua Mountains area. First, we'd cross Shaohua Mountain, then Mount Huashan, and after that, we'd reach Tongquan, where Yin-san had set up a place for us to stay. The mountainous journey would take 4 to 8 days. Tung and I knew this part around the Tuhua Mountains area well enough to avoid bandits, but with wild beasts in the mountains, can't be too careless. We walked through Xiaohua Mountain. We didn't speak along the way. All we saw were endless trees, dirt, and rocks. All we heard were hooves, insects, and footsteps. After about 2 hours, Tung suddenly started talking to me.
喂，梁，你知道群大虫吗？
Tiger herd?
哦，你不知道啊？群大虫就是成群的大虫，寻常时候大虫都是独来独往， 前些年山北闹饥荒，很多人向东逃难，都逃到了一些山区里，被大虫吃了。大虫吃人多了，生崽也多，过2年就都是成群的大虫了。哎，亮，你说，若来了10几头大虫，我们还有命不？
Doubt it.
那不一定，我们手中有刀啊！啊，如果见到大虫，我就挥刀斩了小羊们。放出大虫见着血肉，定不会去咬我们这些持刀的啊，会冲上去分食小羊。那时我们便可逃了啊！
Tongue burst into laughter, cranking up his voice in the last 2 sentences. I knew he was doing it on purpose, trying to let the lambs behind us hear. You seem to enjoy frightening these lambs, huh? Is that fun? I threw a cold remark at Tongue.
肯定有趣儿啊！
Tongue chuckled, dagger slung over his shoulder, moving forward. I glanced back at the lambs. 3 of them were scared white by Tongue's words. The mute one just lowered her head, lost in thought. Was she not afraid of tigers? Around noon, after walking for about 4 hours, we took a break for an hour. Tongue had some grub first, then said he wanted a quick nap, and dozed off against a tree. After that, I handed out food to the lambs, giving each one a serving of dry ration and half a pot of water. The hungry lambs quickly started munching on the food and shared the water. As I munched on my own ration, I kept an eye on them. The 2 darker-skinned lambs, Hong Air and Kui Air, if I remember right, ate pretty fast and finished quickly. Hong Air was the older sister, and she looked after her younger sister, giving her more water. She only took a tiny sip herself. The well-bred girl who got snatched was still kind of scared. She took the grub really carefully, eyes wide open, like she thought I might stab her while she was grabbing a bite. Surprisingly, even though she's a kidnapped miss, she didn't complain about the grub and finished it all. Not sure if Yin-san did a good job training her after the snatch, or she just figured out how things are now. While eating, her eyes got teary, and I figured she's thinking about something. But it's easier for poor folks to handle a rich life, but rich folks struggle in poverty. Probably hits lambs like her hard. Yeah, besides watching those 3 lambs, I also kept an eye on the mute girl. She chowed down on her grub, eating really quick. Look away for a sec, and she polished off everything, like she hasn't eaten in forever.
梁爷，
While I was watching the mute girl, a lamb's voice suddenly reached my ears. The sister named Hung Air lifted her arm, shyly calling me, not quite used to saying my name. We're gonna lower. What's up? I stood up, furrowing my brow, and asked her.
我们要来抽抽，别的不行了。
Okay, go take a shit. Hong Air told me a bit awkwardly. I turned to look at her younger sister. Pierre's face turned really red. She hunched over, holding her legs, just like Hong Air said. Eat, drink, pee, poop were constants of human life. We had been on the road for a while, so these lambs probably needed a break. Since Tongue didn't cover the rules about relieving themselves, they might have been holding it in until now. Sure, if anyone needs to go, just do it on the spot. I looked at them and casually announced my solution.
梁爷，不行。
Why not? The lamb called Changhua seemed uneasy about my suggestion to do it on the spot. She looked at me awkwardly and then glanced nervously at Tongue, who was resting under a nearby tree. Her eyes showed worry and discomfort. While I wasn't entirely sure of her thoughts, I could guess. Maybe she was concerned that if Tongue woke up and saw them relieving themselves nearby, he might find a reason to punish them. Or she might be hinting that, being a girl among guys, she didn't want to do it in front of men. I leaned more towards the first one. After all, these young kids were still a few years away from being adults, so such concern shouldn't bother them. Alright, follow me with the ropes. We'll head to a spot behind those trees. Line up and take care of it there. I shared the plan and went to the pack horse, undoing the tied ropes. Holding the ropes, I guided each lamb. We passed the sleeping Tung, going toward a cluster of trees a bit away. I led the lambs to relieve themselves. When they came back, Tung was still asleep. The lambs took a short nap. I stayed awake, keeping an eye on them and the surroundings. After lunch, we resumed our journey. We walked for 4 or 5 hours around the foot of Xiaohua Mountain. Thankfully, we didn't run into any beasts or the tiger herd Tung mentioned. Pierre stumbled along the way, almost falling. Luckily, the rope tied around her waist and, being close to her sister, kept her from hitting the ground. The silver moon shone bright and stars scattered across the sky. Soft clouds moved slowly and insects made a racket. Night made it hard to see, so we decided to find a campsite at dusk, resting until dawn before hitting the road again. We'd been through these mountains a lot, found a good mountain lake for camp as dusk settled in. The lake was good for water and washing, and the conditions were decent. Tung set up camp and I made a fire. He unloaded tools from the pack horse, gathered some dry straw nearby, and set up makeshift bedding. I grabbed a bundle of firewood and took out the fire-starting tools from the pack. With a fire striker in one hand and a piece of flint in the other, I struck the flint hard, producing sparks. I swiftly brought the flint near the tinder, and after a few attempts, a flame finally caught on the tinder. The flame quickly spread from the tinder to the firewood, forming a blazing campfire. The campfire served as a warning for nearby beasts and provided us with light and warmth. The youngest Cuillère happily sat down and got close to the blazing fire. She reached out her hands to feel the warmth of the campfire. Seeing Cuillère do this, the other lambs first checked our expressions, making sure we weren't mad, and then they also gathered around the campfire.
娘，你还真能搭伙呀！我记得你不是怕火吗？
Just done with his work, Tung joined us by the campfire. He brought up my old story. Well, I used to be scared of fire due to past memories of a disaster. Was scared before, not now.
那是好事儿啊！本来想着你怕火，下次杀人放火，我都不愿带着你。
Tung scared the lambs with his words again, but I didn't feel like continuing the talk. But honestly, when you have to deal with someone, you don't need to resort to arson.
妈的，累死了！要不是怕这些小羊跑了，就该让他们去给咱们拾柴火、铺床铺。哎，梁，中午我休息过了啊，你先睡2个时辰吧。2个时辰后，你给我换班。
All right. I nodded and settled down by the campfire. A gentle breeze passed by, making the campfire flames sway like torn red ribbons in the air. The fire's glow revealed the faces of the lambs, who remained still, perhaps fearing punishment. Yet their shadows had already adjusted to the surroundings. With the flickering firelight, those shadows danced freely, and the crackling of the burning wood added a lively tune to their performance. The scene in front of me brought back memories of the shadow plays I enjoyed during my childhood. Feeling a bit drowsy while lost in the thoughts of shadow play, I ended up dozing off. Guess I'll sleep first. With Tung watching over the lambs, no need to fret. Slightly on edge, I clutched my blade and fell asleep. My gaze fixed on the dancing flames, I succumbed to the weight of my eyelids, gradually slipping into dreams.
梁，醒醒！
Tung's voice rang in my ears. I slowly opened my eyes. Huh? Did 4 hours fly by already? Guess that short nap didn't do much. Honestly, I felt more worn out now. 4 hours already? I asked Tung as I got up.
对，柴火烧了2捆，差不多2个时辰了。
Lambs okay?
啊，都睡了。
Tung gestured at the nearby beds. Lambs rested by the fire. Claire and Hung are together, Changhua and the mute girl on separate beds. Ropes around their waists kept them in place. Okay, I'll take the next shift. I nodded, gesturing to Tung, and decided to stand up for a quick stretch to refresh myself. Tung saw me stand up, then he found a bed and lay down. Damn. Already snoring? He dozed off fast, and soon enough I heard it snoring. Now it's just waiting for the sun to rise. Quite a chore. 4 hours of sleep daily for several dozen days. In this regard, those lambs probably had it better than us. On the way, they could sleep for 8 hours. Once we reach our destination, they could get sold to the fancy sheep. If luck was on their side and they were chosen, they might get adopted as daughters. Even if luck wasn't on their side, becoming servants or maids in these chaotic times was still better than being refugees and bandits like us, right? Thinking about it that way, this job might actually be a good deed. Ah. While lost in my thoughts, a sudden noise caught my attention. I swiftly turned to see its origin. In the dancing firelight, a lamb rose to its feet. It was Little Mute. "Why are you up?" I asked Little Mute coldly. No words, she couldn't. "Hungry?" I asked again. Shook her head. "Need to pee?" She nodded. Pee. I frowned. In the middle of the night, such a bad habit. She needed to pee, but it was tricky. The rope tied her to the other lambs, and going could disturb their sleep or even bother Tongue. Going nearby wouldn't be ideal either. It could get smelly, and if I let her once, she'd probably do it again next time. Alright, I'll untie you for now and lead you to this lakeside. Pee. Just be good and don't do anything extra, I told Little Mute coldly. She nodded obediently. Russell. I moved behind her, carefully looking for the knots, and after a bit of effort, I finally undid the rope for her. Follow me. I went to the fire, grabbed an unburnt stick, lit it as a torch, and continued forward. Little Meat followed behind me. She kept a grip on my robe, following closely to stay on track. She kept stumbling onto my back, using it to stay steady. We walked over dry branches and fallen leaves, pushed aside the foliage blocking our way, finally stepped onto soft soil. Oh, pretty. That's beautiful. Tall reeds bordered the lake. The ground was damp, and it seemed like a good spot to take care of business. Here's a good spot to go, I said to Little Mute, pointing to the nearby reeds. Little Mute nodded and went over. She crouched down, tried to untie her belt, but it stood up again. She looked at me, a bit embarrassed. Well, it seemed like she's shy. Preferred some privacy. Fair enough. She seemed smart, and I respected her wishes. I turned around to give her some privacy. After a bit, I heard a rustling sound. She was undoing her skirt, doing it slowly, maybe a bit hesitant, perhaps worried I might turn around and catch a glimpse. Thinking a lot for a 9-year-old. When I was 9, did I care if there were people around when I peed? Oh, yeah, that might be true. Oh. Suddenly, a chilly breeze swept over my neck. Quick, rhythmic footsteps came from behind. Someone was running right behind me. Little Mute. I spun around. Whoa! Where'd she get a dagger? The shiny dagger flashed in the moonlight. In her hand, a small dagger glimmered, and she thrust it upward, aiming at my throat. Her hand fluttered in the breeze, and beneath those strands, I saw a pair of eyes filled with deadly intent. Where did she get the dagger? Why did she want me dead? Liang, I think we know why she wants you dead. My mind went like beads of sweat forming on my forehead. Her sudden attack caught me off guard. What should I do? Step back fast. Step back. Gotta dodge the dagger. In a moment of panic, without time to think, I stepped back, sharply to avoid the dagger. But then a problem. In my rush, I slipped on the wet ground by the lake. Unable to stand firmly, my body suddenly lost balance, tilting backward. Damn it! It's over. I cursed silently and fell backward. Thump. Plunge. 2 clear sounds. Me hitting the ground, and her dagger through my throat. Did I just get killed? Oh my god, I'm actually dead. Because I took a step back? Alright, I guess we know how easily you can fucking die. Neck tackle. An ordinary person might have died from her surprise attack, but my years of bloody experience kicked in. Okay, you know, that does make more sense for the character, not stepping. I stayed calm. Faced with the dagger, I didn't try to block with my hand or hastily dodge. I quickly lowered my body, moved aside from the dagger, and then forcefully slammed into her. Good. My charge threw her off balance, and her arm lifted. She missed the stab, the dagger pierced through the air. Relieved, I pressed on, pouncing like a wolf into its prey, and shoved her into the reeds by the lake. Boom. Dude, I love this art style. I pinned her down, right leg on her belly, left leg on her arm. Right hand gripped her dagger hand, left hand squeezed her throat. After a failed stab, the dagger slipped from her hand. The instant she struggled to snatch it back, I promptly pressed down on her hand. Now she was completely under my control, unable to move. What the hell? What are you playing at? I glared at her, my eyes fierce like a wild wolf, growling at her with a low voice. Meanwhile, I pressed down even harder on her, pulling her arm with increased force, almost crushing her thin forearm. She could hardly bear it when I suddenly pinched her arm and pressed all my weight on her. In particular, her right hand was probably hurt by my knee, and the bone might be broken. Plop. The short dagger slipped from her hand and fell to the ground. Right after that, something I could never expect happened. This brat. Okay. She isn't mute. With slightly red, teary eyes, she begged as she cried. Little mute, she actually spoke. Swine demon, the year. Okay, still 1632. How come you're talking? You're not mute? I stared blankly at the little mute pinned beneath me. She actually talked. Tears in her eyes, face red, struggling for breath under my weight. Even so, a moment ago she begged for mercy, each word crystal clear. Did being frightened by me make her suddenly able to speak? No way. Never heard of a mute being cured. This girl must have had some sinister plan from the start, faking being mute to catch others off guard. Spill it! Why the mute act, and where'd you get that dagger? I snapped at her, eyeing the dagger that had slipped from her hand. She kept begging for mercy. I glanced at her and sighed. Grabbed the dagger she dropped. My left hand held her arm, the dagger against her neck in my right. I rose, eyes fixed on her, pulling her up from the ground. Well, what did you expect? Yeah, you tried to stab me, girl. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I broke your leg. Or busted it. You tried to stab me. She got up, wobbling a bit before finding her footing, like a newborn deer learning to walk. Spill it, brat. Why the mute act? Why the hell did you play mute? I kept my gaze fixed on her, each word sharp and deliberate. At the same time, I pressed the dagger close to her neck. I was still steaming from her failed sneak attack. This brat was definitely aiming to finish me off just now. If she didn't explain, I might actually cut her throat. What are you scared he'd figure out? Swine demon. Swine demon? She looked down, and the mention of that term just made me more puzzled. What's a swine demon? Why is she bringing it up all of a sudden? She urgently spoke with a teary tone. I was caught off guard. Hung and I were taking these lambs to become lamb dishes? I knew the meaning of lamb dishes. It meant people who would be eaten. No shit. I remember hearing that term for the first time when I was young, back in the peaceful era, and it gave me chills. But in recent years, there was a famine in Shan. Heard in some, heard in some hard-hit areas, folks were selling kids for food. Some even sold concubines for cash, dissecting them to hawk their organs. Sounds brutal, but it doesn't seem made up. The lambs I'm sending are actually gonna end up as some swine demon's lamb dishes?
洛阳城里有一头豚妖，它重1000斤，生性好食人。
Okay, I don't buy that. 1,000 pounds?
它有1000年修为，能化身人形，在旁人看起来，他是洛阳最富贵的人，但他其实就是个无恶不作的大妖怪。我们全家住在洛阳附近，爹是个囤药种田的佃农。他有一次来我家看地时，看上了我姐姐，爹爹怕他，便同意了。没多久后，姐姐便失踪了。这之后，爹爹去问姐姐的情况，他们说姐姐偷东西跑了，找不到人了。我不信姐姐会偷东西，整天哭闹，说是要见姐姐。直到有一天，我梦到了姐姐。姐姐说她被豚妖吃了，希望我给她报仇。她还说，豚妖的口味越来越刁，以后不只要吃女人，还要吃小娃子。姐姐还跟我说，豚妖让华州的尹三做人牙子的活，给他送孩子吃，让我找机会给他报仇。
I listened silently to her tale, pondering for a moment. Not convincing. What she said about the lamb dishes was morally despicable, even for a bandit like me. All of this planned by a swine demon with 1,000 years of cultivation, her knowledge coming from dreams her sister sent her. Certainly hard to buy into. You acted mute, let Yin-san take you, just to get close to the swine demon? I asked, ice in my voice. Little Mute nodded. You think I'll believe your nonsense? Swine demon eating people, sister sending dreams? Don't bullshit me. Don't get how a kid like you comes up with so many lies. If you really want to off the swine demon, why lay hands on me just now? If I die, who's gonna take you to meet the swine demon? How are you gonna avenge your sister? You know, got a good fucking point. Ignoring the mystical talk about the swine demon eating people and her sister sending dreams, as I spoke, I quickly spotted the holes in her story. While her tale could explain her choice to act mute and carry a dagger, it couldn't justify why she attacked me earlier. Her reasoning just didn't add up. If I died, who's gonna escort her to off the swine demon? Sure enough, the little mute went silent, unable to answer my question. She lowered her head and stopped talking. Seeing her go silent, my suspicion deepened, and I began questioning the truth behind her words. What now? Should I end her? End this lying brat? Or wake up Tongue and figure out how to handle her? I pondered, biting my lip, and suddenly I caught sight of bean-sized tears rolling down her face, resembling a snapped string of pearls.
因为我很怕，太怕了。是呀，白天的时候不是说了吗？说如果我们不听话，会把我们活活生吃。我以为你们也是豚妖，越想越怕，刚刚都做梦了。
God damn it, Tongue. It would be easier to discern if she was telling the truth if Tongue hadn't said that dumb shit. Yeah, she's got a point.
方才我把刀藏在巨库里，梁爷看着我解手，脱下巨库肯定能看到刀。梁爷这次背过身去没看，但若是下次看了，你肯定会变成豚妖，把我给吃了。我怕了，不知道怎么做。
Damn.
心狠。 就想着要
Who's this actor? I can't tell if it's an actual child or if it's an adult. who's just really, really good at voicing a child.
良夜，对不起，对不起，我再也不敢了。
Little Mute wiped her tears, crying on and off. While crying, she kept saying sorry to me. She cried, gasping for air, body shaking. She looked really scared, asking me to forgive her. But I still wanted to see. You got it right. Since you've got a dagger, no matter what you say, I'll be suspicious. On top of that, you tried to stab me with that dagger, so I should kill you no matter what you say. I snarled quietly, seizing her dagger, lifting my hand, mimicking a move like I was about to stab her.
良夜，不要杀我！良夜，不能杀！我再也不敢了，不敢了！
I'm gonna kill you. Oh.
饶我一命，良夜！
I totally did not give any emotion in that line.
小米把吃白喝，给你说声死，做精神。
I don't need to be provided for. I'm an independent bandit.
饶了我吧！
She shook in fear, legs giving way, crying with watery eyes and a snotty face, talking nonsense. Terrified, she tried to flee, falling like a scared piglet, kicking her legs while letting out a chilling, non-stop wail. If I hadn't held her, she'd have hit the ground. The night was too dark to see clearly, but her terrified state suggested she might wet herself if pushed any further. It made sense. Seeing her like this, I felt a bit at ease. She had been too mature before, and with her smooth talk earlier, had me on edge. Now she genuinely seemed scared, showing the age-appropriate tears. Considering her clumsy dagger move, she didn't seem skilled. Unless I tripped just now, she couldn't have killed me. After some thought, I eased up on my guard. At the same time, any thoughts of killing her vanished. Get up. I sheathed the dagger and pulled her to her feet. She glanced at me, fear lingering. Surprised, I spared her suddenly, still sobbing softly. I'll let you live this time, not killing you for now.
谢谢良夜，我就知道良夜不是妖怪，是好人。
I don't know if I'm that good of a person. I'm no good guy. Tonight, I can't just pretend nothing happened. I went cold-faced. After my words, Little Mute, who had relaxed a bit after narrowly escaping, immediately stiffened, her expression freezing. Face away from me. I coldly commanded Little Mute. She obeyed, stiffly turning her body around.
良夜，你要做什么？
I'm punishing you.
怎么罚我？
Take off your skirt and you'll see. Take it off. Didn't you hear me? I barked at her, the sudden loudness causing her body to jolt.
我不想脱。
If you don't, I'll kill you.
良夜到底要做什么？
Yeah, what are we going to do? Filled with reluctance. I was puzzled, a sudden wave of irritation hitting me. Why was this brat being so difficult? I said I wouldn't kill her, and she won't even take a simple punishment. Is she trying to challenge me? With that in mind, I decided to go ahead and forcibly remove her skirt. And then she said something left me stunned.
良夜，你不能犯法。
弟弟跟我说过，法有规，监幼女12岁以下者斩决。
She is a victim. Did Yin-san do it? I swear if Yin-san did it, we're turning around and killing Yin-san.
我不满12，良夜要34，34。
I froze, and the attempt to remove her skirt came to a sudden halt. Ugh. I didn't anticipate this brat having such ideas. I told her to turn around to remove her skirt, intending to give her corporal punishment. I wanted to cut a piece of the nearby reed and spank her bottom a few times, leaving 3 red marks, but I really didn't expect that this little troublemaker thought I was after something I don't know if I'd use that phrasing. That's a bit... In that moment, my thoughts felt childlike, while she appeared mature. It gave me a strange sense of reversal, making my already irritated mood turn awkward, chaotic, and even more displeased. How should I handle this to teach her a lesson? No, we're not gonna hit her. We do not hit children. Why not go along with her story and give her a little fright? Wait! Wait, no, what are we doing? I am not, no. I don't want to explain anything to her anymore, no more words. I don't know what, wait, wait a goddamn minute. Hold on, where does this go?
梁爷，饶了我吧，不行的，真的不行的。
Yeah, no, I'm not, no. Okay, we're just gonna... That's not at all how this reads. That's not at all how this reads. I guess we gotta hit the Might as well hit. I took the dagger she just used, sliced the switch from the lakeside reeds. As I made the cut, she flinched, eyes shut. Afterward, I measured the reed's length with my hands, assessing its thickness. Perfect. This reed switch was perfect for spanking her.
梁爷，你这是要做什么？
Doing what? Of course, it's fine. Yeah. Where's your mind wander off to just now? Time for punishment. Solid one.
狼爷是要打我屁股，那你打吧，就是打轻点行不行？我来拖。
I think there's definitely... I don't know if there's like a... The dim light coupled with tall reeds obscured the details from my view. Then I heard the soft rustle of clothes hitting the ground and vaguely saw her exposed skin in the shadows. Well, it seems she did take off her... Okay.
狼爷，我已经脱了，打轻点行不行？
I didn't bother talking more with her. Everything's set. It's time to get started. I raised my hand, lifted the reed switch, and gave her... Okay.
怎么直接打了？不敢了，梁爷，不敢了，不要再打了。
This game has an overwhelmingly positive ranking on Steam. I'm a little concerned. So far, hopefully, Liang becomes a better person. I mean, I understand he's a bandit at the start. He's supposed to be a bit, but like, I didn't like those big bad only two options.
火辣辣的疼，的疼。
She wiped her tear-stained face, pulled up her skirt, and retied the knots. I gave her 3 strikes. Child's skin is delicate, and she appeared frail, offering little resistance. To avoid causing harm to her muscles and affecting her ability to walk in the next few days, I restrained my force. Still, I was certain it would leave 3 red marks. Your life spared for now. I'll keep tonight's event a secret for you. If Tongue caught wind of it, he might devour you alive. I'll be watching you closely on this journey. If you try anything again, I'll kill you, breaking my rule of sparing children. On the way back, she limped, feeling the sting from the punishment. As she walked ahead, I lectured her from behind. At the same time, I asked her some questions. The more I think about it, the less you seem like a 9-year-old. How old are you exactly?
11岁，天启元年生人，属鸡。
Oh, you seem small like a 9-year-old.
我吃的少，长得矮。
What's your name?
满岁。
She paused for a moment, then uttered 2 words. Wait. Did we kill her dad? Because in Chinese, or in Japanese as well, there's also Chinese names. In Chinese names, it's the family name and then the first name. Like it's family name first and then first name last. And the bag we found had the words AN embroidered on it. Uh-oh. How do you write it?
不会写，只知道岁是吃的那个岁。
Your parents truly work as tenant farmers?
真的，到洛阳城后，你可以去查。
Fuck. What if those words are false?
若有假，我全家不得好死。
I'll check your story as we travel. No need for oaths. I hate being lied to. If you lie to me, I'll kill you and your whole family. I warned her coldly. I think we already did. But we killed what was left of her family. After hearing the threat of killing her whole family, she shivered and fell silent. She might have been scared or just been worn out from the crying and yelling earlier. In either case, she walked in front of me in silence, not paying me any more heed. Moonlight stretched her shadow as she moved through the mountainous woods. From behind, she appeared slender and solitary, akin to a lone young animal. Man Sui. Sui, as in the wheat ear. I silently repeated her name. This name echoed with the hope of a farming family, like the wish for fields to be lush with golden wheat ears. Suddenly, a series of scenes surged into my mind. It was as if I could see a vast wheat field. The endless field bathed in sunlight, wheat ears linked together like a golden lake. The strong wind stirred, creating ripples on the lake, forming waves. Her family held her hand, running amidst these waves. She laughed and fell into the golden sea, smiling joyfully. Sweet. Prologue. Oh, okay. I knew why Dad named me Mount Sui. Dad was a farmer, working a hectare of land. The hectare he farmed was all planted with wheat. In spring, wheat was green, and come summer, it would transform into a stunning golden color. And Dad would go harvest the wheat when summer was drawing to a close. Back then, I would trail behind Dad, one step after another. Dad prayed for a good harvest every year and hoped that the wheat would fill the entire field. That's why after my birth, he named me Mansui, meaning full head of wheat, and nicknamed me Suier.
小猫乖，小猫乖。
I squatted down and gently stroked the kitten's chin. When I stroked its chin, it would feel good, raise its head, squint its eyes, and start purring. I couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of the kitten. Recently, a kitten had been regularly showing up at our doorstep. The stray kitten came from nowhere and found its way to our village one day. At first, it would wander around the village entrance, and Dad said that sooner or later it would be butchered and eaten. I couldn't stand the thought of that, so I kidnapped it and brought it home. I didn't keep it locked up. Instead, I just let it roam around every day. However, since I had been regularly feeding it, it didn't usually stray too far from my home. Over time, it became my cat.
小猫，你娘住哪呀？
I stroked the cat's head and asked it. Meow! The cat meowed at me once. I didn't understand what it was saying, but my guess was that it had probably gotten separated from its mom and had been wandering for a very long time.
小猫，你最喜欢吃什么呢？
I tilted my head and asked it. The kitten meowed again. I still didn't understand what it was saying.
我去给你找点吃的。
Not understanding the language of cats, I smiled and gently patted the kitten's head. Then I walked over to a small clay pot next to the front door. I reached into the pot and took out a small fish the size of my palm. I caught it in the river this morning.
来，给你吃。
I gave the small fish to the kitten. The kitten joyfully snagged the fish with its 2 paws, licking it fervently with its tongue. And that's when I would take the opportunity to pet it. I put my hand on its back, slowly stroking its fur. It's very well behaved. It doesn't move no matter how I pet it.
哎，小帅儿，你怎么用小鱼儿来喂狸奴啊？太浪费了。
这小鱼是我在河边抓的，反正鱼太小，人吃不了，不如给小猫吃。
哎，鱼小也都是肉，不如让你爹煮了，就着野菜给我们开开荤呢，作孽呀！这年头这么苦，狸奴都比人吃得好。咱家上下一年到头都吃不了几回肉，这熊孩子倒好，用鱼肉来喂狸。
I hear my grandma's non-stop complaints in my ears. As Grandma grew older, her nagging also gradually increased. Oh, that's a universal experience, huh? She complained about Mom the most and me next. Mom really took good care of Grandma. She never talked back when Grandma was nagging. Instead, she would bow her head, admit her fault, and adjust silently. I thought that was really smart. If you talked back to Grandma, she would count her 10 times, and so forth without an end.
穗儿，别玩了，来给娘帮忙。
While I was thinking about Mom, she suddenly called my name.
等一下，
不能等，我在给你弟弟喂粥。
帮什么忙呀？
洗菜。
好，我来了。
I shouted to my mom inside the house.
小猫，小猫，我不能喂你了，你要自己吃干净哦。
I patted the kitten's head and tossed the fish onto the ground. That cat is so fucking adorable, dude. Look at him. Look at this good old kitty. The kitten obediently lifted its head and let out a meow as if it understood my words. Such a clever kitten. I sighed in admiration silently, then turned around and went inside to help Mom. Mom was feeding porridge to my brother. I grabbed a bunch of wild vegetables piled in the corner of the room. The roots of the vegetables were covered in dirt, emitting an earthy scent. To prevent the house from becoming damp, we washed the vegetables outside. I carried the vegetable washing basket outside and started washing vegetables next to Grandma, who was sunbathing. She glanced at me with her eyes half closed before dozing off again. Mom already taught me how to wash vegetables. I scooped some water from the water tank and poured some into the vegetable washing basket, then tossed the wild vegetables in. After soaking the vegetables for a while to remove the dirt, I changed the water and used my hands to scrub them. I wanted to clean the vegetables well, so Mom would praise me for being responsible when she sees them later.
今天是5月初6，说来也巧，穗儿诞辰之时也是5月初6。
娘，姐姐几岁
？8岁了，她呀，再过几年就要嫁人喽。
几年？
怎么说也得6年。等她到了14岁，头发就可以竖起来，然后便可以嫁人啦。
啊，那我几岁嫁人？
胡话，你是男丁，不嫁人的。你要给家里传宗接代，以后要考功名，娶媳妇儿。
I was washing vegetables outside the house and I could hear their conversation. He's my younger brother. He was 3 years old and just learned how to talk last year. Ever since my brother was born, the most adored child in the family has become him, instead of me. I felt jealous when my younger brother took away the love that used to be directed at me and the family. There were times when I really disliked him and times when I liked him. In the past year, I guess the liking part has been a bit more than the dislike.
Sir!
Suddenly, I heard a familiar voice, which made me immediately stop my job and raise my head. A man was approaching from the farmland in the distance. He was dressed in burlap fabric and wearing a bamboo hat. He was tall and broad, and there was always a tender smile on his face. It's my dad and my favorite family member.
爹爹，
I ran over right away and hugged his thigh upon seeing him.
哎，孙儿乖，孙儿乖啊！
Dad stroked my head like how I stroked the kitten's head.
孙儿猜猜看，爹爹今天给你带了什么？
什么呀？
I curiously leaned forward. Dad then took out the treasure he had hidden for a long time. It was a dark red thing with a weird shape like a wooden ball.
爹爹，这
听说啊，这叫番薯，海外传来的稀罕货，吃了能长寿。
你怎么弄的？
花了一点钱，跟村里的人买的。
这2年光景不好，你还乱花钱。
哎，没事儿，偶尔吃吃呗，多下点力气，种更多的地，钱不就回来了？
Dad explained while smiling, and Mom didn't say anything more. I put my hands on the potato, which was rough on the surface. It seemed like it had to be peeled first before eating.
爹爹，我要吃，我也要吃。
I told Dad I wanted to eat the sweet potato, and my brother also wriggled in Mom's arms, saying he wanted some too.
哎，什么稀罕玩意儿，我也要尝尝。
Even Grandma stumbled in from outside the house, saying she wanted some.
哎，好，等会儿我就烤了它。别急别急，你们都有份啊！
Dad chuckled, stroking my head and shouting at us. I looked at my family in the house and felt blissful. I looked up toward the cloudless sky. I wanted to find a cloud that resembled me, but I couldn't. What will I be like when I grow up? Who will I marry in the future? Besides getting married, what else will I do in the future? I have no clue about any of these. I only know that I have a wish. I want to be with my family. Forever. Oh, I don't like the foreshadowing. I don't like the foreshadowing. In the early morning, a light mist covered the mountains and forests. The sun broke through the haze, shining on our campsite. The birds were already up at this hour, chirping without fatigue, as if signaling to the lambs that it's time to get up. Throughout the night, I remained vigilant to observe the surroundings. I held onto my blade, leaning against a tree, awaiting the break of dawn. Mansui's mindset was surprisingly good. Despite the events of last night, it didn't seem to bother her sleep. Once at the campsite, she soon drifted off, her delicate snores blending with the nighttime chorus of insects. Perhaps my spanking last night left her bottom too sore to lie down, so she chose to sleep on her stomach. With arms crossed on the ground, she nestled her head between them, half dozing with her backside in the air. Even more like a cat. After observing Mansui for a while, I took a brief glance at the other lambs and tongue. Midway through, I took a short nap, attempting to sleep with my eyes open. I tried sleeping with my eyes open several times over the years, but it never seemed to work. After a couple of hours of restlessness, I witnessed the sun rise across the hills as dawn arrived, and Tongue woke up.
起来，都起来，我们要继续赶路了啊！
Tongue, freshly awake, promptly urged the lambs to get up. He paced, shouted, and tapped his dagger on the tree next to the lambs, occasionally poking them. The lambs rubbed their eyes, sat up, and then stood up one by one. After everyone woke up, we hit the road. The sun was in the east, and we walked toward it. After an hour of walking, a lamb suddenly called me.
良爷，有事？
Hong Air called out to me. What's up? Need to go potty again?
不是，是肚子饿，我没肚子饿，我也饿了。
Oh, well, go get some grub.
海良，等等，
I headed for the saddlebags, and at that moment, Tongue stopped me.
干嘛顺着这小羊？它饿就饿去呗。我们不是定好规矩了，每天只有正午和黄昏发粮，这样便于管那些小羊，也不会误了时辰。
Okay. I nodded and pulled back my hand from reaching for the ration. Tongue was right. Rules bring order. Fetching grub every time a lamb is hungry would disrupt the routine and prevent them from realizing their disadvantaged situation. Well, or let's look at it this way. We have limited food. So we all kind of got to struggle here, okay? Like, that would be my argument to keep them in line. Hang in there a bit longer. I'll distribute rations at noon. I walked over Hong Air and relayed my message. Their faces showed a hint of disappointment. I glanced at them without saying more and continued on my way. We kept going on the mountain path, moving slow to accommodate the lambs. Climbed up a bit, then went down another stretch. Past experience suggested we were just past Xiaohua Mountain into Mount Huashan's territory. Dense trees limited visibility. I couldn't spot Mount Huashan's Hua. Oh god, my ability to pronounce things is failing. At noon, everyone was a bit hungry and the lambs were showing signs of fatigue. We decided to take a short break, grab some food. But right at that moment, something unexpected happened.
妈的，梁，快过来！
Tung, at the front of the line, suddenly yelled. He saw something in the woods, a surprised look on his face. He waved for me to come over. I was puzzled. I cautiously moved forward, hand on the blade at my waist. A corpse. Oh, ew. Clearing away the branches, what came into view was a lifeless body. Leaning against a tree, probably a man. The reason I said probably was that he had been dead for days, making it hard to distinguish his features. Trees connected to white bones, bones fused with flesh, flesh clinging to clothing, all bound together. Shrouded with a black cloth on the head, dressed in a ragged robe, hair unkempt. Face mostly hid in the shadow of his hair, but glimpses of a bloody hole peeked through the strands. Countless ants crawled over his mangled body, flies buzzing around, they darted in and out of his flesh, feasting on the man's corpse. I was curious why the body didn't stink. When I noticed the insects, the foul odor hit my nose, carried by the wind. Gross. Suddenly, the disgusting smell of the corpse hit me, filling my lungs and making my stomach churn. Changhua, who came with us, got a big scare when she saw the corpse.
嘘，别叫！
Hong gave Changhua a fierce look. Changhua quickly stepped back in fear. Hong Air also noticed the corpse, didn't stare, just rushed to block Cuillere from seeing it. Mansui got a bit jittery seeing the corpse, but compared to the other girls, she held up well. She kept staring at the body, looking kind of spaced out. Deadly injury on the neck. I held my nose and leaned over to check the body. The man had a neat cut on his neck. Even though the blood had dried, it was clear that this cut ended his life. Dead for over 10 days. Definitely not an animal's doing. Someone killed him. Corpse is in good shape. No big beasts have come to eat it.
那看来，坏消息是附近有盗匪，好消息是附近没有野兽。
Might not be bandits, but could be someone from his same group who did it. This route's not an official road, but we've been through it before. Hardly ever ran into bandits. Nowadays, travelers killing each other isn't uncommon. I shared my suspicion, stealing a glance at Mansui behind me. Indeed, had I been less cautious last night, I might have been killed by her and left sprawled by the lake. A fortnight later, my remains would be a feast for insects, discovered amidst horrified screams. With that in mind, I felt the urge to give her a stern lesson again tonight.
呀，看看他身上还有什么东西。
All right. Enduring the odor, Tung and I decided to scavenge the corpse. This was our custom. In the forest, we always resembled wolves. Wolves would bite down on prey worth biting, and they'd gnaw on leftover remains.
妈的，什么都没有，早被扒空了。看来真是盗匪杀的。
Not empty-handed, at least found this. I presented Tung with a unique find. Despite finding nothing on the man, we came across a wooden box nearby. The box was of a rich, dark wood, the specific kind unknown to me. About 3 feet in length, it housed a donkey hide, 2 braces, 3 differently sized brushes and knives, 4 pre-cut puppets, and a cluster of dye bottles. I knew these things. The wooden box contained items for shadow play.
这是啥？
Used for shadow play performances.
影子戏，看来这男的是戏子。
Not necessarily, maybe just had to resort to shadow play as a means of making a living. I casually told Tung, and as I spoke, I began packing up the man's wooden box, intending to stow it in our belongings.
喂，梁，你想捡这破烂？这东西连盗匪都不要，你捡到城里能卖几个钱？
I just want it.
那你得把这东西和放干粮的地方弄远点儿，不然有味儿。
Luckily, this box was already far from the corpse. Saying that, I wedged the wooden box into a gap in the stuff on the pack horse.
妈的，本来就没胃口，给你搞得更没胃口了。
We missed lunch by 2 hours. Finding a dead body tended to ruin everyone's appetite. During this time, Changhua and Hong'er struggled with nausea, likely disturbed by the memory of the corpse. They held back from vomiting, not wanting to lose precious food. Vomiting would mean one less meal, and it might draw attention, risking a scolding from us. 2 hours later, Tung and I handed out the grub to the lambs. I took a short nap at noon, and Tung took the lambs for a bathroom break. Then he also rested for a bit while keeping watch. In the afternoon, we walked along a long stretch of mountainous trail. It got tougher, with a good stretch of unused trail. We pushed through the weeds, and sometimes I had to use my blade to cut through the thorns blocking the way. Changhua's legs got a bit shaky during this, and there was a moment when she slipped into a mountain ditch. Luckily, she had a rope tied around her waist, and we swiftly pulled her back up. After getting pulled up, she was still shaken. Tung mocked with a few mean comments, but Mansui approached, took her hand, and comforted her. Shivering and teary-eyed, Changhua slowly calmed down to the Mansui's silent comfort. Mansui took care of things for us. Tung and I weren't going to coddle the sensitive lamb. Even Tung had to admit, well, this mute lamb is the most worry-free. As Tung said that, I glanced at Mansui. At that moment, she raised her eyes and looked at me, with a hint of smugness, as if to say, see, I fooled him. Her look made me want to punch her. Oh. Okay. I knew she was faking being mute, lied about her age, and was the trickiest, most dangerous troublemaker. But, to keep her alive, I kept it to myself, not telling Tung any of it. Come to think of it, why am I even bothering to keep this girl alive? Why did I cover up what happened last night from Tung? We may not be best buddies, but after all we had been through together, why was I reluctant to spill the beans to Tung? I didn't know. Every time I wanted to spill the beans to Tung, I felt this tightness in my chest, making me choose to keep covering for her. It was stifling. At night, the lambs had another meal of rations and water. After eating, Tung and I had to get the fire going and arrange the beds.
娘，我们把那个小哑巴的绳子给解了吧。
That might not be a good idea.
影三儿本来就说他听话，不用绑。我开始不信，但现在也觉得这小羊乖啊，不绑也行啊。给他解了绑，可以多一个人给我们拾些树枝，让我们每天快点生火和铺床啊。
Can't trust this brat. I shot a cold look at Mansui and said to Tung,
你什么时候比我都警惕了啊？放心，一只小羊搞不出什么大动静，在这山里，它想逃也逃不了啊。
Fine. Just untie her at this time every day. I agreed with Tung and went up to untie Mansui. While doing so, I kept a close eye on her. Of course, I didn't trust her. Even though I had taken away her small dagger and searched her thoroughly to make sure she had no hidden weapons, if she found a chance to grab a sharp stone and attack our necks or poke my eyes, it would be pretty dangerous. Go, get us some firewood. I untied the rope from her waist and gave her a stern order. She didn't dare to defy, nodded, and went off to collect some firewood. Tonight, Tung would sleep first, and then it would be my turn. I got a couple of hours to spare, so might as well make the most of it. In the next few days, staring at the sleeping lambs wouldn't reveal much, so I needed to find something else to do. I took out the wooden box from my stuff and put it on the grass. It contained items for shadow play, and I went through each one. Briefly, I sniffed them to make sure there was no stench from the corpse. Luckily, the box had only a slight smell, and everything inside was clean. I took a deep breath and laid out the donkey hide from the box in front of the campfire. The donkey hide was thin and had been specially polished. I unfolded the donkey hide, spreading it out in front of the campfire by holding the two corners. The campfire's light, upon touching the donkey hide, spread softly, creating a gentle glow covering its surface. Oh, I remembered. This donkey hide was called a white screen. In shadow play, performers set up the white screen with a wooden frame and light it up with lamps. Then the performers can control the puppets behind the white screen. Now, the challenge was how to use this frame. How can you support a white screen with two sticks?
良爷，不是这么弄的。
Oh, how do you know how shadow play works? Just as I picked up the two sticks, unsure of how to set up the white screen, I heard a voice beside me. Mansui spoke to me in a hushed tone. I glanced at her and took a quick look at the others around. Tongue had his head tilted back, eyes shut, and the rest of the kids were scattered on the ground like a tipped-over basket of radishes. They were all asleep with steady breathing. No wonder she dared to speak up. Know how to do it? I asked Mansui. She nodded, ready to come over and help. However, as she took the first step, the rope wasn't long enough. She looked at the rope around her waist, then glanced at me with a pleading look. She looked at me, and I looked back at her. God damn it, child. Okay, I'll undo it for you. Don't try anything. I walked over and untied the rope around her waist from behind. They're still asleep. Let's not wake them up. We'll find another spot, carry the stuff there, and light a new fire to figure this out. I glanced at the sleeping group and whispered the plan to Mansui. She nodded in agreement. I took the box and went with Mansui to a cliff 50 paces away. It had a good view of the camp, while being well concealed itself. I told Mansui to gather some fresh wood, and I went back to the campfire for a flame. I got some burning wood from the campfire and went back to the cliff. I threw the flame onto the new wood pile. Mansui and I watched as the new fire slowly lit up, brightening the cliff's surroundings. How did you learn to do this?
爷爷就是弄影子戏的，爹爹也学过，也教过我。
Okay.
一次，家里的粮快吃完了要换钱，爹爹带着我去隔壁的村里演过戏，还赚了不少利。
How much do you know?
基本都会一点。
Mansui told me, taking the frame and white screen from my hands. She threaded the frame through a small hole next to the white screen, her wrists thinner than the frame, weaving back and forth, slowly fitting the frame onto the white screen.
梁叶，支架不够高，少了2根，得找些树枝和绑树枝的细绳。
She got stuck halfway, seemingly facing a problem. You go find some.
可我不知道细绳在哪儿。
All right, I'll go. I got up and went to fetch what she needed. I went back to camp, grabbed 2 thin ropes from our equipment, and picked up some branches. Returning to the cliff where Mansui and I were, I handed her the items. She stared. She started trying. God, I cannot fucking read after 2 hours of reading. She started tying the support frame and small branches with the ropes, and threaded the small branches through the white screen. In no time, she had set up the white screen in front of the campfire.
梁叶，为什么要把白幕搭起来？
After finishing the setup, Mansui curiously asked me. Just bored. I replied casually.
梁叶想让我教你影子戏吗？
Sure. Teach me if you know. I'm bored anyway.
好呀，我也正想帮到梁叶。之前惹了你生气，正好想做些什么来赔罪。
Mansui continued checking the white screen, smiling as she spoke. The brat knew how to talk. However, she didn't simply piss me off, she wanted me dead. I kept that in mind.
梁叶，白幕搭好了，可是还少一些东西。
What's missing?
少了乐器。影子戏一般是2个人演，一人操影，另一人伴奏。这2人中有1人还得唱。
Alright, when we get to the city, I'll get a musical instrument. For now, see if you can handle the shadows and give me a little show.
没有伴奏唱不出来，而且我也不会唱。
Didn't you say you knew all the basics?
我就是不会唱啊，词儿我倒是记得。当以前的时候，都是爹爹在唱，我要么操影，要么奏锣鼓。
Alright, just use the puppets first. I want to see.
好，我先试试看小人有没有问题。
Oh, so I love these scenes when they're more detailed like this and they've got the characters on them. She nodded and went behind the white screen to tinker with the puppet. Damn, we really set up a solid frame there. I noticed she needed a seat, so I fetched the wooden box for her. She didn't sit fully on the box, not sure if it was customary for shadow play artists or if she couldn't sit down because her butt still hurt. I got up and went to her side, watching carefully. Puppet had a body attached to 2 bamboo sticks. She moved the sticks behind the white screen with her fingers. The puppet wore red-robed armor, looked sturdy, and held a long spear-like weapon while riding a bright red horse. I recognized this puppet. Which character was it from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms? Ooh! Oh, hold on. I'm choosing which character. Oh, I don't know my Three Kingdoms characters. I mean, I played a little bit of Total War Three Kingdoms. I think I even played as Lu Bu once. Oh, this is... I have to choose, like, the correct option. I wonder if it... Huh. Do I pick the name that I'm familiar with, but I don't remember? I'm gonna go with Lu Bu. Yes! Hold on, hold on, hold on. Who's Guan Yu? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I gotta look up Guan Yu. If that's an actual someone from the Three Kingdoms. No, Eastern Han Dynasty. 160 to 220. So he's not Three Kingdoms, right? No, he was during the Three Kingdoms period. Hold on, then. Oh, it's because of their armor, I'm guessing? Lu Bu wore red. Okay. That's what they... Okay. Is Lu Bu? I looked at the puppet in Mansui's hand and asked.
是啊，嘿嘿，良叶竟然也知道。
Okay. That... Damn. I haven't read anything on the Three Kingdoms. Only... Oh, some wiki articles and then Total War Three Kingdoms.
你看，木箱里还有3个小人呢，刘玄德、关云长、张翼德，还有吕奉先。这些都是表演三英战吕布用的小人。
Mansui pointed to the other 3 puppets. After she said that, I managed to recognize all the puppets. The black-faced one with a spear is Zhang Fei. The red-faced one with a broadsword is Guan Yu. The yellow-faced one with 2 swords is Liu Bei. The one Mansui was holding, riding a red horse and wielding a halberd, was the invincible Lu Bu. This girl knew quite a lot. She even figured out that these are puppets for the performance of the 3 heroes battle Lu Bu before I did. Why does only Lu Bu have a horse in shadow play?
不知道，可能这样会显得吕奉先厉害一些。
The puppets aren't well made. If I made them, I'd give all of them horses.
我可以教良叶做，但是木箱里没材料了。
I opened the wooden box and saw that the dye bottles inside had dried up. We might need to add water to use them. Even if we had dye, there were no spare materials to make significant changes to the puppets. Perhaps the dye in this box was originally meant for touch-ups, and the carving knife had become useless due to the lack of materials. As I thought about it, how did that body really end up dead today? Did he venture into Mount Huashan alone, or with others? Was he one of the shadow puppet performers, and were there more people with him? Could he have escaped from a theater group only to be chased down and killed? Hold on, he was like kidnapped by a theater group or something. Or try to run away. Oh, theater group cult, the worst. Numerous questions and speculations raced through my mind. However, there wasn't enough information at the scene for me to form a clear judgment. I might never uncover the true story. Alright, never mind. Didn't want to think about it too much. Time was short, so I had Mansui perform for me first. You perform. I ordered mansui.
好，那良夜坐到白梦前吧。
Mansui said to me. I nodded, stood up, and went to sit in front of the white screen. Sitting down, I looked up at the white screen. Mansui also sat on the wooden box I had just moved, positioned behind the white screen in the center. She wiggled her fingers, and behind the white screen, the puppet of Zhang Fei appeared first. The puppet shook a couple of times, wielding the serpent spear in its hand. To my surprise, not long after, Mansui took a deep breath and softly began to sing.
白袍，恰素宝镜，长发蛇矛，手内我也。
She said she wouldn't sing, but as she performed, she thought shadow play without sound wasn't as good. To find a rhythm, she started humming softly. Her voice was low, like she was singing to herself, and the tone wasn't professional. She was probably remembering how her dad used to perform for her, imitating and singing along.
情欲，去不去交战，贼命难逃仗义斗哎。 催马，来至两军阵，叫马贼人来交锋哎。
Mansui kept singing in a hushed tone while Zhang Fei brandished his serpent spear, shouting on the battlefield, ready for the imminent appearance of Lu Bu. The puppet's shadow swayed behind the blurred white screen, seeming alive. The serpent spear twirled and a bright beam erupted from its tip, dazzling my eyes. The scene played out again in front of me. Back then, my dad and I were also enjoying a shadow play. The lamp flickered, drums echoed, and the heroes of the story clashed behind the white screen. Sun Wukong swung his golden staff, hitting the white bone demon. The staff lit up with a golden glow as it struck the monster's head. Just as I was cheering for the performance, the sparks suddenly grew stronger and turned into a bright light. In an instant, the intense light burst from the white screen, accompanied by a loud boom, swallowing the entire world. Bang! With a thunderous sound, everything was consumed by the intense light. All I could see turned into a fiery ball. Ah, so that's where our trauma is from. Yikes. I shouted, jolting up from where I sat.
怎么了？
Can't watch. Shouldn't watch. I got up in a daze, my hands and feet unsteady, eyes wide open. I looked down, palms facing up, lifting both hands in front of my chest aimlessly. Sweat covered my face and back. My heart raced and my trembling hands couldn't stop shaking. I quickly scanned the surroundings, then stared blankly ahead, unable to focus. I repeatedly confirmed that I was in a dark environment, safe from the imaginary burst of intense light. I thought I could gaze at the flames again after many years. Thought I could watch shadow plays once more. Now it seems I still can't. I came to my senses and found Mansui looking at me with a worried expression, trying to figure out what had come over me. I'm fine. Just not up for it today. Can't watch shadow plays anymore. Let's head back to camp. Don't want anyone getting suspicious about our absence. I gestured awkwardly to Mansui and muttered some explanation to her. Then I dared not glance at the white screen behind the flames. I put out the campfire, turned around, and stumbled back toward our original camp, paying no attention to whether the wooden box was neatly arranged or not. Even now, I kept avoiding it. Over the years, I thought I had changed, grown stronger, shifted from a lamb to a wolf, free from fear. Yet I still couldn't shake off the nightmares of that year. The 6th year of Tianqi. I stayed in the capital with my father, a traveling merchant, for a few days. On the 6th day of May, at the hour of snake, white light consumed everything. Wasn't the girl here born on the 6th of May as well? When I came to my senses, there was only a sky filled with blood rain and shattered corpses. For many years afterward, I could never escape the nightmare of that day. Even now, 1632. The 6th year of Tianqi, the capital. A sudden white light engulfed everything in sight. Houses turned into ruins, people into corpses. My father turned his face towards me, smiling as if trying to say something. However, behind him a white light suddenly flared up. I reached out to grab him, to pull him out of the reach of the light. But in the moment I grasped his arm, we were swallowed by that white light. Immediately we were thrown backward like swatted mosquitoes. My head hit something, momentarily robbing me of consciousness. I blacked out. Upon awakening, my father was gone, and I found myself amidst the debris. The area was filled with the remains of buildings and burning fires. My ears were ringing, unable to hear any sound, only sensing blood oozing from my ear canals. I don't like that. My clothing lay in tatters, and numerous people lay naked on the ground, their bodies mutilated. The world turned into a storm of blood rain, dyeing my entire body, and the ground below in a deep red. I hoped the blood rain would put out the flames on the buildings, but the fires only grew, refusing to be extinguished. Where was my father? How was he doing? I slowly got up, wanting to search for him, only to realize I was holding something in my hand. Oh! It was my father's severed left arm. I woke up from the nightmare, my back drenched in cold sweat. After watching the last of Shadow Play last night, memories of that year flooded back. Later, I sat in the camp, lost in thought for a while, losing track of time. 4 hours later, Tung took over the watch duty. I attempted to catch some sleep, trying to escape the nightmares, but I tossed and turned, not sleeping deeply. For the next 2 days, I was lost in my thoughts. My mind buzzed in chaos, and my spirit felt like it had lost its way. I walked, ate, and slept in silence. I didn't continue studying Shadow Play with Mansui. That day, she packed up and took everything back to the pack horse. She must have wondered about my unusual behavior, but I didn't feel the need to explain. Of course, there's no need to explain anything to her.
哎，亮，这几天你都怪怪的，像中邪了一样。
Bro, what's up with the bad vibes? On the 4th day of the journey, Tung pulled me aside. Just reminiscing about that explosion.
天气大爆炸？
Uh-huh.
怎么突然又想起这事儿了？
No idea, it just hit me.
依我看呐，就是你捡了前2天那个戏子的东西，因此撞了邪。哎，快把那些丢了吧。
Not happening.
也罢，你一直都倔啊，我说不了你。杨啊，我们在山里走了4天了，估摸着也快走到潼关附近了。尹三儿在潼关附近的水沟村安排了接应我们的人，到了那里后就能吃顿好的，也能躺1天了。
All right. Tung hinted for me to tough it out. Walking through the mountains for days, the monotonous scenery and constant vigilance against beasts and bandits got us down. Hopefully, once we reached a place with people and could feel the local vibe, I would perk up a bit. The road to Shuigu village was tricky. We learned to stay sharp in times like these. And my gut feeling was spot on. On the morning of the 5th day, we had to cross the official road to confirm the way to the village. Trouble hit us. Hold up. I spotted something and stopped. At the same time, I raised my right hand to signal to the others behind me.
娘，怎么了？
Someone's here. I pointed ahead. Tung looked over. About 30 steps away, a group of 6 people came into view. They all wore iron helmets, green iron armor, and had swords at their sides. Walking through the woods, their helmets glinted in the sunlight.
是盗匪？
Doesn't seem like it. They look like soldiers.
官兵怎么会走小道过山？
Don't know, but we gotta avoid them. Tung and I huddled. Doing this kind of job, soldiers were the last thing we wanted. Sure, the world's a mess now, and the soldiers, busy with rebels as they are, probably wouldn't care about us. But it would still be bad to run right into them.
嘘，小羊们，现在谁都不许说话，不许动，都蹲下。我们等那队人走过。
Tung let out a deep breath, eyes wide, and whispered orders to the lambs behind us. We all squatted down, watching the soldiers tens of steps away. Great. They weren't heading our direction. Just had to wait a bit. Just a bit longer and they'll be gone. I stared at the soldiers in the distance, watching them move in a single direction. Their leader disappeared from view, followed by the others, getting farther away. They'd be gone soon. Then, something unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, I heard a lamb yelp. I spun around. Pierre, the lamb, suddenly stood up. She stomped her feet and hastily stepped back, almost falling over. Damn it, of course. She pointed to a patch of grass ahead, her face pale with fear, tears welling up. Other lambs, hearing her, quickly fled from the spot she indicated. Suddenly, the silent woods echoed with lamb cries, screams, and frantic footsteps turning into chaos. Tongue cursed and hurried to Pierre, trying to cover her mouth. But it was too late. The soldiers spotted us. They changed direction and came towards us. The leader yelled from a distance. All 6 soldiers stopped. They pulled out their swords, ready to fight, facing our direction. What now? I asked Tongue. He usually knew what to do in situations like this. Tongue said to me, and I nodded. Yes, we needed to untie the lambs first. When the soldiers got closer and saw the ropes around the lamb's waist, they'd surely figure out we were traffickers. Tongue walked towards the front of this line, about 10 steps away from us, yelling to the soldiers as he went. Tongue and the soldiers were yelling at each other from far away. I just freed Xianghua and was about to untie Mansui, but they were getting closer fast. Bad. Couldn't untie all the lambs in time. I wanted to sneak over to Hong Air and Cuier to untie them, but the soldiers spotted my move and stopped me quickly. They came closer step by step and I checked out their outfits. They looked like the border guards near Tonghua. Not too tidy, but all with the same gear, even the same swords. The leader had a taller helmet and carried a short bow on his back. Seemed like their officer.
刚才是你们女娃叫的？
是的。
她为何要叫？
哎呦，撞见蛇了！
你们刚才说走商是吧？要送什么货去洛阳？
Well, that's a good question, and we don't have anything. The head soldier asked sharply. Tongue was stumped. We knew we only had food with us, nothing else. We made up goods and they asked to see them, we'd be caught. Phew! I took a deep breath, trying to calm down. We're ferrying, folks. I chimed in when Tongue couldn't answer, talking to the soldier.
运人的。刚才还说走商，怎么成运人了？
Ferrying folks are still trading. We've been asked to take these kids to Liaowang. I replied calmly.
好啊，运人！你们这不是承认了吗？你们就是人牙子！
No, it's the kids' parents who asked us to do it.
那你们为什么不走官道？
Didn't you avoid it? Oh, take that, soldier! I calmly replied to the soldier and ended with a jab. It did seem a bit odd. Usually soldiers like them would stick to the main road. Why didn't they take the main road out of Tonghua? Could it be they had something to hide? Could it be they were deserters?
魏良，你怎么跟关老爷说话的？关老爷，你别跟我兄弟一般见识，他这人不懂怎么好好说话。确实，我们是运人的，之所以不走官道，是这几年灾情不断，官道都是逃荒的难民啊。我们听到传闻，逃荒的人都心狠呐，会抢小娃娃吃。我们怕粮被抢，娃娃被抢，就走了山路啊。
所以你们到底是做什么的？是不是人牙子？
唉，说来话长了。我们是受渭南一大户人家所托，送他们家的一位小姐去洛阳完婚。
Tongue had a bright idea, like he'd figured out a plan.
谁是小姐？
她
他是。
Tang pointed at Qianghua. Qianghua was put off guard by the sudden attention. Stood frozen, her face pale, clearly surprised to be singled out.
你是要去成婚的小姐吗？
Soldier squinted and looked at Qianghua, asking her a question. Qianghua remained silent with her head bowed. Mai and Tang's hearts jumped to our throats. Bad. Qianghua spilled the beans about us being human traffickers now. It'd all be over.
是，关老爷，我是。
Huh? Right when Tang and I were tense, Qianghua suddenly spoke up. She nodded pleasantly at the soldier, speaking quietly without looking at him. Why? Tang and I were both surprised. We didn't think Qianghua would help us lie.
你看起来挺小，竟是要去成婚的？还有，你为啥穿着平民的衣服呀？
Qianghua fell silent, looking scared as she kept her head down.
是这样，关老爷，我家小姐看着年龄小，其实快到成婚的年纪了。婆家想先见见她，并让她先去洛阳住一阵子。至于她为何穿着平民衣服，这是我想的主意。
I am out of water. And my... No! 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 Don't tell me it froze again! No! No! Oh, fucking hell. Hold on. Please, please, please. Don't do this to me. Please. Please, please work, please work. Please, please, please. Ah! 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 No! Come back! Why am I invisible now? No! Did I break it? No! Elgato virtual camera. Okay, anyways. Back to our somewhat regularly scheduled program.
我们这一趟路途遥远，难免可能遇到盗匪。小姐穿庶民的衣服，才不容易被盗匪绑了呀。
Although he still frowned, looking skeptical, it's unclear if he bought our story.
那其他小孩为啥被绑着？
Suddenly, another soldier chimed in. Next to the leader stood another slightly chubby soldier. He had a long black bag slung over his back, maybe carrying a spear. He hadn't said a word before, but now he noticed the ropes tied around the lamb's waist. Realizing only Qianghua wasn't bound, he raised his suspicion. Tongue again couldn't respond, just kept quiet. The soldier's eyes sharpened, coldly scanning us. Not good. Can't explain. Qianghua's cooperation was surprising. These soldiers were digging deeper, picking apart our story. If we were taking Qianghua to get married, bringing a bunch of kids her age didn't make sense. And why these kids were tied up was even harder to explain. I placed my hand on the hilt of my saber and the soldiers took a slow step forward. No one spoke, silence hung heavy, broken only by the chirping of insects. Sweat beaded on my forehead. I knew a fierce battle was about to erupt. Should I strike now, take out the leader? Or bide my time, wait for another opportunity? Ooh. We got electric guitars in frickin' ancient China. Well, not ancient China. 1600s China. Oh. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, what's that instrument there? Oh, I was about to give a guess as to what the instrument was, but I'm not confident in my guess, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut to avoid embarrassing myself. Oh, I like it. No more chances. Might as well strike now. Take them out one by one. Ta! I stepped forward, grabbed my sheath with one hand, and pulled out my blade with the other. The lead soldier's eyes widened in shock as he saw the gleaming metal in my hand. Swish! Before he could react, I swiftly swung my blade, landing a solid blow on his neck. Blood spurted out in an instant, then splattered all around. Clutching his bleeding neck, he staggered backwards, step by step until he fell.
妈的，这我得看了，他们果然是贼！
娘，怎么又是这么急？
The other soldier yelled angrily, the sound mixing with some grumbling and the lamb's scared cries as they ran off. The rest of them drew their weapons and charged at us. This may have been a mistake. Just saw blood, now my heart's boiling with the urge to kill. Heard these soldiers are nothing but trouble. Some even go around killing innocents to use their heads as fake proof of killed rebels. Can't reason with them. Gotta fight hard. Let the swords do the talking. Stepped up, swinging my blade twice more, clashing with one of the soldiers. Thud! I shifted my footing a bit and spun around, landing a kick. The soldier stumbled, thrown off balance by my blow, so I pressed on and swung my blade again. Swish! I aimed poorly, so it slashed horizontally, hitting the soldier's chest. His armor cracked, leaving a shallow wound, but it wasn't lethal. Tisk. What a pain. If he weren't armored, I could have finished him off in one blow. But it's okay, neither eye nor tongue got hit by their swords, and we've broken their formation, but for now. The guy I struck earlier might not die, but he's still out of the fight. Just need to take down one more, then it's 2 against 2, giving us a big edge.
贼人受死！
Looking towards Tongue, I saw the fat soldier from before grab something from his black bag. I then realized it was a musket. Uh-oh! He pointed the long black barrel our way. It's over! Thud. The musket went off with a bang, and a blaze of fire shot out from the barrel, followed by a plume of black smoke. The intense blast hit me square in the chest, and my vision was instantly obscured by a mist of blood. I stared in disbelief at my chest as my body uncontrollably fell backward to I died again.
妈的！
God damn it. I'm gonna get every fucking... I'm just gonna keep dying along the way here, man. Oh, god damn it. I kept thinking about drawing my blade, but I held back. 6 soldiers were too many to take on. They had good gear, and I wasn't sure I could take one down in a single slash. Even with Tongue's help, it'd be tough to handle them all. But what good would waiting for a chance to really do? In the midst of the tense standoff, Mansui's voice suddenly broke the silence. Her soft cries grabbed everyone's attention. What's she doing? Mansui went to the pack horse beside her. She opened the bags and got out the wooden box she stored there a few days ago. It was the box for the shadow play. Mansui opened the wooden box and showed what's inside to us and soldiers. She stared at everyone there with big eyes.
这是什么？
The head soldier looked blankly at the wooden box. I get it now. Mansui was trying to tell us something. With the shadow puppets and all, it's pretty clear. I suppose she wanted me to say. Officer, these are the props for shadow play. The kids, except the miss here, are part of a traveling theater troupe. Facing the officers, I gestured towards the wooden box and towards Mansui, Hong and Cuillere. The journey is long, and the master worries the young lady will be bored, so he arranged for a few theater troupe girls to accompany her. They are all from humble origins and will accompany the young lady as her attendants. If you don't trust us, they can show you. I calmly suggested to the soldiers, and they glanced at Mansui once more after I spoke. Mansui was setting up the shadow play screen, placing it on its
不
stand.
必了。
Soldier A waved his hand, gesturing for Mansui to stop. He stayed quiet, looking at me and Tongue, then at Qianghua, Mansui, Hong'er, and Cuillere.
我信了你们说的话。 倘若你们真是人牙子，这些女娃也不至于帮你们扯谎。我就好奇问一下，出个嫁阵仗倒不小，这是洛阳谁家的小姐啊？
老爷，是洛阳赵老爷家的人。
哦，这样。哦，我知道那赵老爷有点名气。
是。
The soldier and Tung were talking back and forth. I figured Tung didn't know Master Zhao, and neither did the soldier.
行，你们走吧。我劝你们还是要多走官道。哪儿？
谢谢关老爷，谢谢关老爷。哎呀，我们明白的，一会儿就走官道。
Tung bowed deeply, showing his gratitude. Thanks, officer. I also thanked the officers, and then they turned around to leave. Finally, the tension in my chest eased.
等下，还有个事儿。
God damn it. Suddenly, he stopped walking and turned back around. Tung and I immediately became alert again. What's he up to now?
想起来了，刚才你们翻行李的时候，我看到有不少粮。
Fucking bitch.
这里离潼关不远了，你们不用担心余粮啊。我们赶着去剿匪，暂借你们一些粮。
Motherfucker.
行，关老爷随便拿，不用借了，直接给你们就好了吧。
Tung fawned as the soldiers started grabbing rations from our pack horse. After they took most of it, they finally got ready to leave.
妈的，该死的王八兵，真是喂不饱的狗啊！花这么多钱买的干粮，都被他们抢了一大半。
Half an hour after the soldiers cleared off, we pressed on, and finally, Tung found the nerve to let loose his tongue.
不对，我想起来了，都是这死崽子害的。要不是这死崽子，王八兵也不至于找上来。死崽子，害我们差点丢了性命！我剁了你！
Tung suddenly remembered it was Guiller's yelling that... Guiller's... Is that a C? I think that's a C. And brought those soldiers to us. Tung drew his knife and approached Guiller, ready to strike her down.
不要，石头爷，星爷不要剁！星爷，不要剁我妹子，要剁就剁我，不要剁我妹。
敢拦我！今天我把你俩一起剁了！
Tung swung his blade at Hong Air and Guiller. Bang. I quickly intervened, blocking his swing with my blade. Enough, Tung. Sure, the kid attracted the soldiers, but none of them sold us out when they showed up. If they had, we'd kill them. Since they didn't, there's no need.
又不是真要杀他，我就是断他一只手。
And then what? Missing hand means we pay. We'll cough up then. Besides, it's still a ways to the nearest village. Can a kid with a missing hand make it alive? After hearing me, Tung didn't go to kill the lamb anymore. He probably figured out what was at stake and that he shouldn't kill or maim the lamb.
妈的，不杀他，不弄残他，那也必须要罚，狠狠罚。
Yeah, punishment is necessary. Remember your rule, cry or fuss on the road, no food for a day. Let's stick to that. Tung glanced at me, his eyes flashing with anger. He seemed to think the punishment wasn't harsh enough. But it was the littlest lamb who caused the trouble. If I hit her like I did with Mansui yesterday, especially if Tung joined in, things could get out of hand. I kept looking at Tung seriously, and his anger slowly faded away under my stare, until it was completely gone.
他妈的，别让我再听这死崽子叫了！他欠我一刀啊！再叫，早晚被我宰了。
I see the flowchart, yeah. I wonder what read versus what clear means. With a grumble, Tung sheathed his dagger and stomped forward. He finally agreed to spare Guiller.
谢谢星爷，谢谢梁爷，谢谢梁爷。
The two sisters were scared by Tung's rage just now, crying and thanking me over and over. No more tears. Keep crying and I'll give you a smack even if I spare your lives. With that stern warning, I pressed on ahead. We got to the main road just before night. Tung and I checked the signs, guessed how far Shuigyao village was, then crossed the road and kept going toward the village. We camped by a stream nearby. At dinner, Tung did as he said. Didn't give any food to Queer, and even spat in her direction as she lay there. Queer watched us eating dry rations, almost crying with hunger, thinking about how she almost got us into trouble today. Tears streamed down her face. Trying not to cry out loud, she wiped her eyes silently with her hands. I saw Mansui secretly take a piece of her own dry ration and give it to Queer. I also saw Hong Air do the same. Queer ate it quietly when Tung wasn't paying attention. I turned a blind eye, pretending it didn't happen. Okay, we're becoming a better person, I think. Late at night, Tung snoozed while I kept watch. I freed Mansui and motioned her over for a chat. I wanted to talk about what went down during the day. You did good today. When the official soldiers came, you helped us with the lie.
因为那些官兵不像好人，我不能信他们。他们没走官道，行军的时候也没什么纪律，很可能是逃兵。若是向逃兵求救，他们把我们带走，待我们还不如良夜呢。
Mansui spoke her thoughts to me. The little brat had some smarts. Came to the same conclusion as me. Those soldiers today seemed like they were running from something. With Tongguan always in battle, it's odd to see a small group of soldiers wandering like that. If they got caught, they would get 100 lashes, not much different from being called a human trafficker. So, they were like bad guys, ready for anything. These deserters, even if they thought we were up to no good, might just let it slide. Once we gave them a way out, they probably didn't want to poke around too much. But I was still not sure about today. Mansui seemed smarter. He knew those soldiers weren't good. So why did the other kids, especially Qianghua, agree to help us? They wanted the soldiers' help. That was the time.
良夜，有件事想和你说一下。
Just as I was wondering, Mansui spoke up. What's up?
除了星爷外，大概都知道我不是哑巴了。那些官兵来的时候，我给琼华说过话，红儿和翠儿也
Is it
听
because
见
of
了。
her we got... Did she convince the others? Oh, I get it now. It hit me all of a sudden. While Tung was busy chatting with the soldiers, I was totally focused on him. I didn't catch Mansui whispering to the other kids. But it made sense. She was probably telling them, keep quiet, don't spill the beans about us being human traffickers, because those soldiers aren't the friendly type. You did good this time, lass. Seems like you deserve most of the credit for dodging those soldiers. I chuckled a bit, praising Mansui.
我也是觉得良夜信得过，才这么干的嘛。对了，良夜，今天还想学影子戏吗？
Not interested anymore.
为什么呀？良夜之前是为什么那样啊？
Mind your business. Just don't feel like it anymore. I replied coldly to Mansui, then decided to head back to sleep. This girl, she's sharp and wise beyond her years. Not like most kids her age. She's just as I imagined her from the start. She's like a cat. Six. Oh, there's a lot of chapters. Chapter 15. Chapters. We're at 17%. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot. So I'm gonna save here because I don't have any more water. I don't want to ruin my voice. So we're gonna save. I'm having a blast. Oh. This is really good actually. like that was, I'm pretty hooked. I'm pretty hooked with that so far. I was a little cautious with that you know, one scene by the lake kind of had me going, wait a minute, where is this fucking, like, where are we, where could this, I don't know, I just didn't like that scene one bit. I was like, wait, these are my two options? I don't like those being my only two options. Though in a way they kind of make sense. I don't know. I feel like maybe the two options there should have been Liang um uh hitting her, or um uh just not even hitting her. I don't know. I don't know that. Though I guess that other one is us becoming more like Tongue, and maybe because it looks like maybe there's some like affinity things, like relationship things in this game. So maybe people, maybe like, there's an alternate ending. Um, oh yeah. Anyone that hung around for this, thank you for hanging, and I will be back not tomorrow, um, but Sunday I should be back. Um, so yeah. Uh, I don't think this is not gonna be a 2-stream game. This might be we got 17% of the way through. If I had a full water bottle, we probably could have gotten to 25%. So we'll see. I don't know if like that 70% is meaning like including all alternate endings, all branching stories, or if it just means like from beginning to end. Oh, I don't know. Anyways, thank you for hanging. Okay, goodbye.